Greetings. Thank you all for joining Mid-South Sculpture Alliance online panel. Today, our topic is frequently asked questions internships, so FAQ internships. We started doing these FAQ online panels for content within our program, acknowledging what it is that we want to continue to help elevate within Mid-South Sculpture Alliance. And so often we have questions about how does an opportunity come along? What are the differences between graduate programs? How can I be more prepared for an internship? So we think about that when we think about our membership as a whole, but specifically for emerging artists and some of our newer members. And so that's where the frequently asked questions component of the online panels started last year, and we're going to continue going forward. If you have any ideas or suggestions for other frequently asked question topics, please let us know, and we can start to see if there's ways that we can add that to our to-do list. So with that said, my name is Letitia Bahuyo. I am a member of the Online Panels Committee, and it is my honor and pleasure to be part of your host today. We also have Brian Massey, who is in the background, who's going to help keep all of the things going and in order to be able to keep our conversation running. If you have any questions for our panelists today, please add them to the chat, and he or I will make sure that we bring that question up to be able to continue the dialogue with our panelists today. Today, we have 4 amazing programs that are joining us to be able to share about their internships and their different types of programming, how you can become part of their crew. But before getting to them, I just want to do a little reminder for everybody who is a part of Mid-South Sculpture Alliance. If you haven't yet, please mark your calendars. October 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of 2026 is Confab. It's going to be in Arkansas with Brian Massey, who's on with us today. And so that Confab is the 20th birthday. So this year is the 20th birthday of Mid-South Sculpture Alliance. So it's a special one. MSA is now 2 decades old. We're going to be celebrating in Conway, Arkansas with Confab, again, October 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. So please mark your calendars. Come join us. It's going to be an extra special confab. For today, we're going to be traveling from east to west as we get to know all of these different programs. And so as we're going to be visiting today, North Carolina, Tennessee, Alabama, and then jumping farther west over to Colorado. And so each of our people that are going to be on our discussion today are going to introduce themselves as they also introduce their specific program and what is feasible, capable, and as an opportunity there with them. We're going to hear from them each, and then we're going to join up together and have a discussion about what it is that you can do to be able to make sure that you are as strong of a candidate as possible when applying for their opportunities. So with that said, we're going to jump over to North Carolina with Joe Bigley.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Letitia. So I'm Joe Bigley. I'm the founder and executive director of the Western North Carolina Sculpture Center. We're situated about an hour and a half from both Charlotte and Asheville in the beautiful North Carolina mountains. And we're a relatively young company. We're in our 7th year, so it's really an honor to be on this panel with such well-established and kind of anchors of arts organizations in the sculpture world. So I appreciate being here. Well, I figured I would start with a bit of an overview of the organization, as is indicated in the first images of the slideshow. We have an active artist studio, about a 10,000 square foot studio space, as well as a 12-acre sculpture park. And last year we hit 100 works on the park, so that's a nice milestone. The park features nice open spaces, as well as water features and a nice little hiking trail out in the woods. So one thing that we often encourage interns to do during their time here is to consider creating work that then gets displayed on the park for about a year. So there's a lot of nice topographical options to respond to in terms of the natural world. And that does show a bit of an overview of the organization with, in addition to the internships, we have residency programs and workshops and public events and that sort of thing. So this is some images of this beautiful landscape. It's really nice to start with such a beautiful backdrop. It never gets old going out there and enjoying that vista. There's a range of works from artists from all around the US and Canada. Go to the next slide, please. So one of the things that we encourage both artists and interns is to be as ambitious as they like. We try to really be an organization where people can pursue kind of wild ideas and are pretty much game for for most anything, as I say in the classroom, because I also teach at App State University. As long as it's legal, let's do it. So I bring that philosophy into the Sculpture Center. We can go to the next slide, please. And here's just some shots from the sculpture trail. It's one of my favorite places on the park. As I say in this, and go to the next slide, please. And as you know, the kind of tried and true way of fostering community, and both in terms of working artist and the public community engagement, we offer a series of iron pour events throughout the year. We average about three, which is plenty with all the prep work that it takes with our kind of skimpy staff. And we have two summer internship sessions, and the first session overlaps with our summer iron pour. And interested interns do not need iron casting experience. If they want to jump in the mix, we'll show you the ropes, and you can get as close to the action as you feel comfortable with. Go to the next slide, please. And in conjunction with the iron pours, as well as other events, we do offer educational opportunities to engage with the public. So interns who are interested would have the opportunity to engage directly with community members, both on and off site of the park. And we're still kind of gaining traction. Having started essentially in COVID, our events are becoming a little more of a public draw, and a lot of this work is not possible without the help of interns. So we really value your time over the summer, and we couldn't do it without your dedication. Go to the next slide, please. And in addition to foundry work, we have blacksmithing, and we do some stone work and fabrication, and we're trying to fundraise to bring in three-phase electricity so we can include ceramics into our studio repertoire. Next slide, please. And we just started doing aluminum pours off-site. So for the second summer session, if people are interested in doing foundry work, aluminum is a pretty fun alternative. And as opposed to iron, as I'm sure most folks are aware, you can do it any given day rather than the few weeks it takes to prep for an iron pour. And then getting into our internships specifically, when when myself and my previous business partner were developing this, I wanted to focus on safety as a number one thing. I think safe working practices, as far as the educational atmosphere within our internship program, is our main priority. So whenever we are engaging with anything, we always go kind of above and beyond to instill safe working practices, especially if it's the first time somebody's engaging with a new process. Go to the next one, please. So the interns throughout the summer have a pretty robust opportunity to work with some of our visiting artists and artists in residence. And I think problem solving on all the wild ideas that people are trying to achieve in our humble studio is a really amazing and unique educational experience, as opposed to maybe the overly structured academic experience. You can really get to know different processes and how people approach different puzzles as it relates to mold making or welding, and also network with a lot of artists around the country at the same time. And as I mentioned, we do encourage our interns to make work for the park. So this is just a shot of Victor, one of our favorite buddies from Chicago, working on his work for the park. And then once a week, I put on my professorial hat and offer about an hour and a half per intern every week to instruct in new processes that I feel comfortable instructing with. So, in addition to the kind of organic learning experience of helping visiting artists, I'm happy to take time and show you all how I approach different processes and typically learn myself in the process. So in addition to helping out in the studio itself with the various facets that encourages, there's plenty of park and trail maintenance to do that's never ending. So usually the summers are a pretty comfortable time to be out here working as opposed to this week. So interns are also expected and invited to help us out with the park and the trail. And as of about 5 months ago, we opened up a humble interior gallery space. So starting this year, we will have artist interns involved in running and turnover and that sort of thing with the gallery. So that'll be a new facet to the internship experience. And as I mentioned, there is several opportunities for community engagement. About once a month, we have community potlucks just to gather people in the community and come out with musical instruments and jam around a campfire. So um, the interns are obviously welcome to be a part of those events, and it's just a really fun way to foster community engagement and get to know the folks that live in the surrounding area. And finally, because we're situated in such a beautiful location, we do encourage people to not necessarily spend every waking moment in the studio as much as we love to have everybody here. But there's an endless amount of hiking trails and water holes within reach. So we hope that people also take advantage of the beautiful mountains. You can find more information at wncsculpture.org, and I'm happy to respond to the emails. So thanks for the interest, and look forward to hearing about the other organizations.
Thank you so much, Joe. Appreciate the information. And I look forward to having a conversation as we all gather back together to understand even further about how somebody can apply and being able to be a part of all of those things that you just described, being able to add to the community, being able to learn from you as well as from the other visiting artists. Thank you so much for sharing and putting together a PowerPoint. And with that, let me pull up. Next, we're going to be moving over to Tennessee and visiting Arrowmont.
I'll give you a second to pull that up, Letitia, if you want.
Appreciate it. Yes, if you go ahead, Sam, what is it that brings you to Tennessee? What is it that you get to do there? And I'll open up the screen share too.
So my name is Sam Chumley. I am the studio manager at Arrowmont School of Arts and Crafts. We are located just on the other side of the North Carolina mountains. We're right here in East Tennessee, right in Gatlinburg. I'm the studio manager there, so I work across all of our 9 studios that we run on campus. I'm in charge of our studio intern that we have. We have a couple of studio interns throughout the year, so I'm directly in charge of them, but I'm here also talking about the other internship opportunities that we have. I also have some residency information in there. That's something that people might want to know about as well. So yeah, our internships are basically, we've kind of designed our internships to be professional development opportunities. If you go into the second slide, Letitia, there's some notes in there. They're basically professional development opportunities for young artists from any background who are interested in nonprofit work and seeing what it looks like being a living artist that does something different for a living other than just making art. So they come and help us with our education and administration work. They really just, they become part of the staff essentially for us. So we really rely on interns to serve our local and regional programs, our very robust national programs. So we have tons of different opportunities. So yeah, if you'll click into the next slide, I'll get into kind of some of the details. So we have our visions intern. So our visions intern is really specific to our local and regional programming. So they work specifically with Outreach, which is a program that serves Appalachia, the Appalachian region, as well as our local Sevier and Knox counties. Outreach is specifically for K through 12 students, specifically like 4th grade. We kind of start about 4th grade and move on up through 12th grade, working kind of in underserved communities throughout Appalachia. And so this intern works specifically in that program. And one interesting aspect of this internship is that applicants need to be from one of the communities, one of the official communities that makes up Appalachia. So there are some restrictions on this internship position, but it's really cool. And this is, in the past, it's been a shorter assignment, but Our next round that we do this in, we're going to move to a year-long assignment. So they're actually going to be with us a little bit longer. So that's going to be really interesting to see how that evolves a little bit. If you'll next, perfect, thank you. So we also have our studio internship. This one gets a lot of interest. We get a lot of applicants for this one. So we do one position for this in summer. We get another position for fall. That works in that coincides with their term coincides with our national workshop schedule. So we run usually 12 weeks or so of national workshops in the summer. And we usually run 6 or 7 weeks of national workshops in the fall. So these interns basically they show up a few days before and then they work with us a few days after those sessions end. But it's a full-time job. They work with us for about 40 hours a week or so, and they become part of our studio team. So I have 3 studio technicians that are full-time employees. And this person our studio intern floats in between those positions. They help with setting up studios. They help move equipment around. They help get presentations from instructors when they're here. They help kind of with whatever we need. So they're kind of a runaround for us, helping us with all sorts of tasks when we need extra hands, working on whatever we're doing to accommodate classes that we're having. So they live on campus, they get compensated with meals, they get housing. And depending on the duration of their stay, they usually get to take at least 1 workshop, sometimes 2 if they're in there for summer. So they do get to participate in some of the cool stuff that they're helping to facilitate the other time. But the focus on the internship is like facilitating other people and creating those opportunities for others, and just really assisting with that. We also have our events internship. So this coincides similarly with our national workshop schedule. So that big block of summer and then that smaller block in fall. We have two of these interns throughout the year. Same thing. They also work 40 hours a week. They directly work with our national programs director, Kelly Hyder, to facilitate evening events. So, we're running workshops during the day. In the evening, we do instructor PowerPoints. So they help with that. They run those slide night presentations. They host open studio events for the residents that we have living on campus. They also host other various, events that we do around campus because, sometimes when people are working all day in the studio, they just need a little bit of a break and they want to go do something fun and sort of have some community time with other people in their class or people in other classes. So this in turn helps facilitate a lot of those opportunities. And compensation is very similar. They get housing, they get meals while they're here, a stipend, and they also get to take some workshops while they're with us as well. So we also have our Kenneth R. Trapp Fellow. So this is a slightly different position that we have here at Arrowmont, but this is also a year-long appointment. And it's specifically built for early career gallery and museum curators. So, excuse me, Arrowmont, we have 3 galleries on campus. And we have our main gallery in our Turner building that hosts like really big shows throughout the year. And then we have 2 smaller galleries that rotate out a little bit more regularly. Plus, we have our downtown Knoxville gallery. So this person works specifically with our gallery coordinator, facilitating all the different shows, doing install, deinstall, and that sort of stuff. They also do creative research in our archives. So we have a really extensive archive collection at Arrowmont. And so we have really cool craft artifacts from early 1900s all the way up, throughout the decades, all the way up to now. And so they curate a show. So one of the things that they do is they curate a show from our permanent collection as part of that's kind of like their final big thing that they do while they're here. But again, compensation is very similar. Housing on campus, they get meals when we're running our kitchen and things like that, and stipend and that sort of thing. But they're really there doing a lot of really cool creative research and getting some actual real world practice on what it looks like to run galleries and different exhibitions and that sort of stuff. And I'll talk briefly also about our artist in residence program. This is a national artist in residency program. We call it a year-long residency, but it's really 11 months. They run from June to May. This is for like early career / emerging artists. in various craft-based media. So ceramics, woodworking, metals, painting, textiles, just kind of depends on the application group each year. It changes a little bit. And so they have, they've got like a small work commitment they got to do throughout the year. They also get, really cool personal studio space. They get, they live on campus, they get meals and housing and all of that stuff is kind of provided for them. It's a pretty sweet deal, I think, as far as residency programs go. We bring five artists in every year and they're with us all year long. So they also help us too. So they're artists in residence, but some of those work hours that they got to do throughout the year, sometimes they're working with us in the studios. Sometimes it just depends on what it is, what they're interested in. They can kind of tailor their work time to what they want to be doing. Sometimes that means studio maintenance with me and my crew. Sometimes it means working in the gallery. Sometimes it means, working in the kitchen. Just depends on what they want. So another really cool opportunity that we have at Arrowmont, though. And if anybody wants more information, I just put a link to our website in here. It's just arrowmont.org. All of these opportunities are listed on our site with dates and, application timelines and that sort of stuff. So if you guys want to know any more, feel free to reach out.
Thank you so much, Sam. Appreciate it. And as a past teacher, as well as I was a student a couple of decades ago at Arrowmont, I just recognize how much the program has done, how it has continued to grow. And I'm looking forward to returning to you all as a workshop instructor this summer.
We're excited to have you coming back.
Excellent. Excellent. It's going to be so much fun. And we're now going to go, I guess, south and west a little bit more. We're heading to Alabama, to Birmingham. Virginia, how are you doing?
Doing good. Thanks for having me on this. My name is Virginia Elliot. I'm the Metal Arts Director at Sloss Furnaces, which, if you're not familiar, it's a foundry and metalworking program that's situated within a historic blast furnace site that is essentially in downtown Birmingham, Alabama. Um, there's a picture of it on the slideshow whenever. I know. This is actually our inaugural year of an internship program. We host a lot of different artist residency programs, 3 year and 8 weeks. So we've got a 3-year residency, and that's the bulk of our staff. So 3-year resident artists work 30 hours a week for Sloss and 10 hours a week on their own art practice. And so the interns work with those artists. If you want to skip to slide 2. So that's Sloss. It's a 32-acre site. It's a really unique program in that there's an arts program in one of the big historic casting sheds and some of the auxiliary buildings. And then there's private studios that we've built into historic structures throughout the site. But the site is also owned by the city as a national landmark. It's a museum and a cultural center. So we've got lots of events that aren't arts related throughout the year. So you're integrated into the site and you're integrated into this environment where there's a lot going on. You want to skip to the next one. This has the details on our new residency and internship program. And this came out of a need from the community that people had voiced to us about more programs that offer work experience. Our program kind of sits in this world between industry and art and academia. We're not affiliated with a university. We work a lot with the big industrial corporations in town, like a SIPCO and US Steel and Hotworks, and the university's engineering departments. But we do a lot with different academic sculpture programs as well. We're primarily a self-funded program. That funding comes from commission works. So the internships that are coming in, or the interns that are coming in, they'll spend 20 hours a week working with the Sloss crew, gaining work experience, working on those commission projects, maintaining studios and equipment, and all the things that come with running a foundry independently. There's a living stipend, a materials budget. You'll get all your sand and iron. So we're hoping that interns are coming to make work while they're here as well. You've got until midnight every day to work in the shop and work on your own stuff, and then the expertise of the Sloss crew to help you as well. Skip to the next one. So these are some of the other programs that we have. We do an apprenticeship program for high school students. a 3-year residency, which I touched on a little bit, and then an 8-week visiting artist residency, which we were very fortunate to have Letitia be part of recently. And that is for professional artists that come from all over the world and just make artwork for 8 weeks. So part of the internship is that it overlaps with a lot of these other programs. So you get a chance to teach high school students and help with teaching classes, gain experience from the residents that are here full time, and then get to learn from some of the really amazing artists that we have come for the 8-week program. I'm going to skip to the next. We also host the National Cast Iron Conference every other year. So that will be in April of 27. If we have an intern that overlaps with that time, you are going to be put to work helping with that, which is a really amazing experience to meet artists from all over the world. That is in April. So we typically open applications at the beginning of every year. Our application cycles for all these programs are between December 31st and early February. The internship application is actually due today, if this is something that excites you. But you get to tell us what time of year works best for you. So if you really want to intern during the conference, I would recommend you apply in January of 27 and tick that April box. If you want to skip to, these are some of the examples of the commission projects that we do. I think a lot of people don't necessarily know that we are a full-time shop. We're up there working 5 days a week. And this is how we earn our money. So we make trophies for Talladega. We do stuff for the Space and Rocket Center. A lot of commemorative things for corporations and trophies for Coca-Cola. We do some big public art projects as well. So these are the types of things that the interns will be helping with. And then I think that is the last slide. So that is our foundry setup. If you're not familiar, the historic furnace is in the background, and then we've got our smaller cupola set up in front of that.
Nice. Thank you so much, Virginia. And yes, I had the honor and pleasure of being the 2024 Summer Visiting Artist, and it was amazing to be able to be part of that team and crew and be able to witness all the things that were created and developed while there. It was definitely a treat. And so for an intern artist resident to be able to do a little bit of both with that shorter amount of time, what a great opportunity. And like you said, due tonight. And so now if you have any last questions, get them in today with Virginia. It's good chance to be able to get some last information about how to apply and what to avoid in said application. So thank you so much for being a part of our crew today. And one more jump. We're going to be jumping even farther west. We're heading over to Colorado.
Hi, everybody. I'm Betsy Alwin. I'm the Artistic Director of Ceramics and Expanded Media at Anderson Ranch Art Center. Expanded Media includes furniture design and wood and sculpture, so it's a fancy title for 3D director. And I'm very pleased to be here. Thank you, Letitia, for inviting me to present on our program. I'm a sculptor. I'm a work across medium, and I am particularly focused in ceramics with some wood and metal. And I've been at Anderson Ranch for 3 years in this coming May. So I'm relatively new. And I'm here to talk about our internship award program, which is 16 to 18 weeks in the summer. It's specifically supporting our summer workshop program. You can flip to the next slide. And we reside on the historical and ancestral land of the Ute people. We are located in Snowmass Village, Colorado, which is about 3.5 to 4 hours drive from Denver. So we're really in the heart of the Rocky Mountains. And we're close to Aspen. If you've ever heard of Aspen, we're famous for skiing. Well, skiing right now going on, although the snow has been pretty terrible this year, so it's not been very good. But we're also known for the summers. The summers as high season for a lot of arts and culture here in the valley, and also a lot of outdoor sports. Our mission is to foster transformative educational experiences and build community. We embrace traditional and contemporary art making practices on our vibrant campus. The internship, you assist in all areas of our programming during the summer. So we have photography, we have printmaking, we have painting, we have ceramics, we have woodwork, furniture design and woodworking. We have digital design, and sculpture. So those areas, we want interns in all those areas. So we have 16 interns, and there's a few interns that work across those departments. They're called those floaters. And they are really intrinsic to running our summer program. Basically, you're going to be working with staff and faculty from around the country and people that come from all over. You're going to learn new skills. We also offer professional practice seminars for our internship program. So we primarily, I think like Arrowmont, we view our internship program as a professional development opportunity. We have seminars that we deliver every month, as well as whatever you're learning in your workshops that you're assisting. You'll also observe and learn different teaching styles and approaches from all the myriad faculty that come here. Next slide. What I find the most gratifying about our workshop experience is that you witness learning and growth. Our workshops are for beginners, people who've never made a piece of artwork in their life, to people who just graduated or are in college, to mid-career artists who want to come and build a network or learn a new skill from a particular faculty, to late-stage career artists who want to just experience something new, meet new people, and expand their network. What's particularly interesting is that you see folks who start on Monday who maybe have never made anything before in their life, and they're a little intimidated. They come in and they're like, sometimes people will tell you, I don't know if I'm supposed to be here. And what's really tremendous is that you, as an intern, you take part in their transformation. And I taught in higher ed for 20 years, and when I first got here, I'm like, what could you do in a week? How much transformation could you make? But it is incredible to see what people accomplish, that those same people who were scared to death on Monday, but all in, totally all in, by Friday, they've made new work, they've experienced new skills and met new people, and they will often leave feeling extremely grateful and saying, wow, I never thought this, I knew it was going to be a good experience, but I didn't know it was going to be so tremendous. So even some of our college students who take our workshops tell us that they learn more in a week than they did in half a semester at college. And that makes sense, because you're working 8 hours a day in a workshop, and maybe in college you meet once or twice a week. And so you're really focused, and you're with a bunch of people who really motivate you to do a lot of work in 1 week. Next slide. So our interns will be assisting directly with the workshops. They'll be assisting participants in learning new skills, but we don't expect our interns to know everything. So you don't have to be an expert in all areas in the shop or the place which you apply. But we do expect you to have some basic skills and, of course, be familiar with safety, and also have maybe some background in customer service or know something about helping people learn and have had some experience with that. That's really what we're looking for. And if you can be a person who can learn new skills, so if you're open to learning new skills or honing the skills that you have, that's really what makes a great intern. We can go to the next slide. You will increase your professional network and meet artists, like I said, from all over the country. And sometimes I get a little starstruck with some of the folks that come here to teach. And you, of course, we have interns that go on to work for some students. We've had interns get recommendations from faculty who've taught here. So it's a great networking opportunity. I wish something like this would have existed when I was in school, because I would have totally taken advantage of that, and that would have really been a big help to me. So it's a great way to kind of jumpstart your network. Okay, we can go to the next slide. We serve a lot of different constituents, and we love our children's program. So if I failed to mention, we also have an internship in the summer for children's. And so you can assist there if you're interested in teaching K through 12 in the future. this is a great opportunity for you as well. It serves mostly local community and underserved community. We're very proud of it. But what's more is in all of our workshops, we have intergenerational exchange, and it is one of the most rewarding things, I think, about being here, because you can have college-age student or even an upper-level teen in an adult workshop, and they're in there with mid-career artists, as I mentioned before, or septuagenarians, and they're all exchanging ideas and bouncing things off each other, and it's really rewarding. I really love that part about our workshops. Next slide. So what are the benefits of our internship? You do receive a $5,000 award at the conclusion of the program. This is an award that you can use to further your career in any way that you see fit. We do have great living quarters. I'm sorry I didn't put together any pictures of that. So if you want, you can look on our website or ask for some photos. But we rent condos in Snowmass Village, which is walking distance from here, or a short bus ride if you want. And they usually have like hot tubs, great kitchens and stuff. I don't know, I'm pretty jealous. But you do get meals on campus. We don't serve meals on the weekends except for Sunday night. So you do get a stipend for meals on the weekends in addition to all of that. You will, of course, make lifelong friends. As I mentioned, you build your artist network. But there's also hiking, biking, and other outdoor activities here. Amazingly, there's no bugs. If somebody would have told me, I grew up in Minnesota, if somebody would have told me there was no bugs here, I would have been here a lot sooner. There's no bugs in the summer, there's no humidity. Okay, next slide. So the nuts and bolts. I'm sorry, this slide is a little cut off, but you're going to have a very rigorous summer. So I want to be really transparent about that. You're on for about 5.5 days here. So it runs Sunday night. We meet with the faculty and have a welcome dinner with them, which is really lovely. Meet with faculty, get the calendar straight for the week. You work all week on the workshop, and then Friday night we do what's called a turnover, and we get everything ready for the next workshop on Sunday night. So you have a really rigorous trip, like for 16 weeks, although there's 1 week in there where you have a little bit of downtime because we have our ranch week, rather, which is our fundraising week. You have like hard and easy weeks. Some things are going to be more challenging, or maybe you're experiencing some challenges. There's little time to work on your own artwork, and unlike some other places that presented today, we don't have the space or the time to allow the interns to have their own studios, unfortunately. However, you will be practicing, of course, and expected to practice the skills and the projects that happen in the workshops. So that's something that you can put under your belt and take back to your studio practice or to residency later on. Next slide. Again, there's a lifelong friendship and connections that you make here. The interns become a really tight-knit group. They go through this all together in all their areas. We do team building efforts that first 2 weeks. You get here before the workshop starts. We have a whitewater rafting trip that you go on. We do activities. You're in your studios learning with your one-on-one with your coordinator, and it's just a really nice time. By the end of the summer, we're really sorry to see everybody go. We cry and all that, and it's a really tight-knit group and really fun summer. Next slide. So if you are interested, of course, we have more information, this QR code. So if you want to take a look, that'll take you to our page and give you kind of an overview. There's a nice video of past interns talking about their experiences, so you can hear more directly from them and see a little bit more of our facilities in that video. But we are looking for graduates, people who are graduating, or people with other professional experiences. So if you don't have a degree, you can be considered for a number of our programs. Unfortunately, our insurance dictates that we have to have degrees or certificates in an area for safety reasons in our wood program and our sculpture program and our 3D digital program. And you can certainly inquire more about that if you have questions. You have to be here for the 2-week training before the summer. So sometimes that's a little tricky with graduations. If you have to leave for a weekend, that's not a big deal, but you can't be gone for a week. We really need you here, and we need you focused on that. Some folks leave in August to go back to school, and we can spare a certain number of interns at the end of the summer. So that's something that is possible. If you're interested in teaching, learning, and facilitating transformational experiences in art making, this is a great opportunity for you to learn more about that. And you have to be over 21. That's also part of our insurance. But if you're looking for more information, please look at our website and or give us a call. All that information is available. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Betsy. And you all do so much out there. And you're absolutely right. People can't be spared because the number of things that are going on, the lectures, the auctions, like every single day is absolutely packed. The amount that you absorb as you're walking through the space to see, to witness is definitely pretty profound. And so, yeah, you all do such a great job.
Thank you.
Excellent. And Brian's with us too. How you doing, Brian?
It's Friday. What can I say? Between the NASAD accreditation stuff I'm working on, the documents, and Wingate stuff I'm working on, it's just Friday.
It's Friday, but I want to say that, so Brian and I work together along with Cassidy Fry, who's over in Tulsa, are the online panels committee. And all of these frequently asked question online panels are thanks to this man. And so Brian, whenever joining this committee, he was like, I want more opportunities and discussion about things to be able to support students, given what your day job is as a sculpture professor and chair of the art program over in Central Arkansas. And so that push, that insistence and recommendation is what led all of us to being here today. So thank you, Brian, for encouraging. And so did you have any questions to pose to the panel, Brian?
I was trying to listen in. I was in another meeting trying to listen there going on. And because I know a lot of our interns, when we worked with Arrowmont before in the past, and I think we may have sent some students apply for a couple other internships. Sloss, I'm not really sure about. I try to get students involved with Sloss, but that's a big commitment for them sometimes. But most of our internships that we have here are required by students. They could be either paid or unpaid. Do you guys? Now, some of you have paid internships, some of you don't have paid internships. But for our BFA students, we require them to have at least 300 hours work hours within their internship. So it covers about 10 weeks over the summer. And I'm not sure if I heard anybody about having summer internships over the summer.
We do. Yeah.
Yeah.
So given what Brian just described, would any of your programs fit where his students could get both credit for their university and be able to have the opportunity at your program?
So ours, we have, let's see here, ours are working 40 hours a week. Our interns are. Now in the summertime, they do get 2 weeks off for their workshops, but they're definitely hitting that work because they're with us for, usually 13 weeks. So they're definitely hitting that work requirement. We also are, our interns also do get a stipend as well. I think we've readjusted that this year. I don't know that exact number, but they do get a stipend as well. Plus they get to eat while they're here, because they get to eat in our kitchen, so they're not having to spend money on food. Living is also supplied to them as well. So it's not really costing them anything. They're not getting rich, that's for sure, but they are getting to make a little bit of money. But it's very similar to what Betsy was saying earlier. Our interns they're here working. They don't really have tons of time to make their own work. We encourage them to bring like sketchbooks and stuff like that, but there's not a studio space for them. There's no materials given to them or anything like that. It's, they're kind of here to facilitate. But it's very fast paced, and I think it's a really genuinely good experience for them. So yeah, our studio internship and our events internship both would hit your requirements.
We may have 2 students heading your way, Sam, probably this summer for workshops.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, and as well, I'll follow up that our internship application actually asks whether their parent institution or what some institution will give them credit. And so we can provide the paperwork, but basically they are going to hit your requirements most definitely in our internship program.
Yeah, we offer summer internships as well, and we have had students do that for course credit. Being kind of on the small side, we can't offer a stipend at the moment, but we hope to alleviate the pains of that void with plenty of studio access and materials as far as steel or sand mold materials and iron.
Yeah, our schedule at Sloss is so crazy that we've found that it's best for us and the applicants that we just open applications at the beginning of the year and you get to tell us what your availability is. So for this emerging artist intern application is the same format as the visiting artist application, where we ask for portfolio, letter of intent, CV, all of that, and then you tell us when you're available. This program specifically was designed for current students, recent graduate students, or people who maybe didn't get a lot of foundry experience in their university setting, and are trying to gain more practical experience that they might not have access to. So we try to make it accommodating for whenever they're available, and whatever season they can tolerate. Not everybody wants to be in Alabama in the summer.
It is definitely toasty there. And it's not like you can do iron pours indoors in the air conditioning, especially not at Sloss. Maybe some places, but not there.
Yeah, that is maybe to note. It is all outside and it does get to be in the 90s and humid pretty regularly in the summer.
And you do have bugs, unlike
And we
Colorado.
definitely have bugs.
Well, I wanted to ask, when people are applying to you all, if you would, just a reminder about when your application deadlines are, if you could, share that again. But what are the top 3 things that you want applicants to keep in mind as they prepare their application? Virginia, you just mentioned the things that they have, but what would be some things that you want to make sure, like for your place, what would help make sure that they are a solid candidate? What top 3 things when they do make that deadline?
Yeah, so reminder, our application is due tonight. I would say the biggest, I know you asked for 3, but the biggest thing that we look for is clear intention and a plan. So 3 weeks is not a lot of time. We want you to come and make artwork, and maybe have some type of goal of what you want to learn, or if it's not specifically a skill, how this experience can apply to what your goals are in the future and how we can help facilitate that. And if you want to come and make work, what is it that you want to make? Because 3 weeks is not enough time to come with a sketchbook and then make your pattern and then make your molds and cast them and finish them. So we want the people that are coming in to be successful. So coming with a clear plan and a clear letter of intent is what we look for.
Nice. That makes sense. You have to have a plan and then obviously being able to communicate that in your application. And so maybe a component of that prioritization, maybe having somebody else read the application that you're going to submit before you just click send. Make sure that it makes sense to a not to just yourself, but to somebody else reading through it. Betsy, Joe, or Sam, anybody else?
Well, we have image components, and I have to let people know that if you're applying, by the way, our priority deadline has passed. It was last week. However, it's ongoing, but I'm going to tell you, get it in right away if you're interested or you were thinking about applying, if you haven't applied already, because we are doing first round interviews. We've done some this week and we're continuing next week, and then it's pretty over. But our application does open in the middle of December and then ends in late February. So that's something to keep in mind for next year if you don't have the ability to do that this year. I would say always make sure you take good professional photos if you can. Get with your professors or get with somebody who has a camera and knows how to take good photos, because even though, we're not judging your work. We really aren't judging by your work. We want to see skills, but good photos demonstrate your seriousness and your attention to detail. And those are two things that we're really looking for. So having good photos, not taking them on your bed in your dorm or whatever, that's best. Nice lighting, good backdrop, clarity, good, yeah, that's what we're looking for. That's my advice.
It is great advice.
I'll piggyback on that and just say that I see some really cool work in some of the applications that we get, and it's like, this looks really great, well made, well articulated, pieces of art, but the way they're photographed is not it's like, I can tell there's something there, but there's too much stuff going on in the background of the photo that really takes it away, and it's doing that work a disservice. And so, like, figuring out how to represent your work is absolutely crucial. Another thing I would also say is, like, research the institution, look at what that institution does, and be sure you are wanting the opportunity you are applying for. Sometimes we'll have people, I know that I've noticed this before, sometimes we'll have people that, maybe they apply to an internship, but then they're like, well, when can I work in the studios? It's like, when do I get studio access? And it's like, that's not part of the description for this. Like, what you're asking for is like a residency or something like that. And if that's what you want, that's great. But understand the difference between the residency application and the internship application. They're designed for very specific purposes. And so I think sometimes people kind of have this sort of generalized idea, and they don't look into the organization and figure out what all these different things are to understand that delineation. And so I think really understanding what you're applying to and being sure that is the thing that you want that aligns with your overall goals.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that we look for in our letters of intent also is it's in the name, but the intentionality and the specificity of your interest in being with us always helps. And just seconding the idea of the quality of the images makes all the difference.
It helps a lot, and helping to also, again, clarify the difference between internships and residencies. That I think the opportunity that Virginia, that you're describing that's going on at Sloss, the new emerging artist, like internship and residency, it's both. And so you're also participating where what we're hearing obviously from Arrowmont and Anderson Ranch, as well as from Western North Carolina, that you're there to like really help support the program. Now at Western North Carolina, you also do get some studio sort of balance, and you get to contribute work too. But yeah, definitely with Arrowmont and Anderson Ranch, you're ready to be part of a team to help all the other people. But that doesn't mean you're not still learning, but yeah, you're not necessarily having opportunity. But you do get to take some workshops at Arrowmont, right, Sam? So for like a week or maybe 2 weeks if you're there for the whole summer.
Yeah, you get to kind of participate a little bit more. Yeah. But other than that, it's just like, we're facilitating other people. And I think that's a big part of that opportunity, is just learning that's also what being an artist is sometimes it means facilitating someone else to do the creative stuff. That's like, so it's good to learn that.
Nice. Brian, did you have any other thoughts or questions? Oh, you're muted right now.
Okay. It's been a day.
It's okay.
You guys may have touched on this, but if a student doesn't have any prior experience, or they may not feel as confident in their work on their resume, what recommendation would you give those students that want to come and be there with you guys?
I can start with that. It goes back to clear intention. The emerging residency is for students who don't have experience, have a limited experience, or are looking to learn more. So we don't require that you have experience. Some exposure to metalworking would be nice, just so you're not going to be scared of it when you get here. We average about 55 iron pours a year, which is about once, if not twice a week. So there's a lot of casting, and if you haven't done it before and you come here and you find that you're scared of it, that's maybe not great. But just a clear intent on what your goals are here and why you're applying to this program specifically.
Yeah, I'll say that, I mean, we need folks obviously with some experience. It's helpful to have some teaching experience, but mostly, some kind of customer service related where you're familiar with how to handle maybe some difficult situations with somebody being unhappy or somebody having struggle with something and patience. So if really we look at a few things. We look at just what skills you're bringing in terms of your work, the coursework that you've done, or maybe a professional experience that you've had, and that's what we're really looking for. So that would put you ahead, especially if you get to the first round interview and you can talk a little bit more about what your goals are in terms of facilitating experiences and what your future goals are in the arts.
And I would recommend just emphasizing an eagerness to learn in the letter of intent, since we don't require pre-existing experience per se, but we've had interns that are graphic design majors or art ed majors and have never welded before, and by the end of their tenure here, they're installing larger scale outdoor work on the park. So I think we put some value on just an eagerness to learn, no matter what the experience level is.
Depending on the opportunity that people are applying to for us, like our internships, really we're looking for, we don't require like a portfolio for that application because it's not about the artwork for them. We are looking for people that we want to know that somebody will show up when they say they're going to, and be responsible and communicate. To me, those are the best things, as long as that's what I look for. So whenever we're looking at their CV or their resume, as long as they're somehow involved in the creative arts in some way, if they're a student, whatever is fine. I'm looking for something that's going to tell me that this person has some experience, whether maybe it's just working in a coffee shop, maybe it's not even working in the arts, but if they held a job for a year or two, I assume that they have some level of responsibility. And then, when we do an interview, like a Zoom interview with them, we'll pull more about that. Because we don't expect, we're not expecting people that are well accomplished, fully fledged artists. This is the opportunity that helps this person hopefully move on to the next opportunity. Like, we're hoping that this is the experience that can help them network or springboard into the next thing. So we're looking for people that are needing that experience, and we try to target those things, those internship opportunities for those people. We get people with master's degrees that'll apply to an internship with us, and it's like, not that they're not a good applicant, but they've had some opportunities. They've built a resume out. Their resumes or their CVs are fleshed out. I want us to be a notch on the resume for somebody else and help them spring into something else. So that's how I look at it. So not having tons of experience is okay, but at least an eagerness, I think, to learn, and a willingness to understand where they're coming from, and that, this opportunity can provide something for them.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate that.
That helps so much, because I think about the range of students that we'll see at our university, at University of Oklahoma, in a week, like the people that cross the threshold of sculpture. And I think you're right, absolutely, Joe, and same as you both described, like an eagerness to learn and communicating that within the letter, while still having professional images, like taking really clean images. I'm thinking back to Betsy, what you said earlier, like maybe not on the bed, maybe like set it up a little bit, at least make the bed. And so what is it that you're trying to put forward? You're trying to put the best that you have forward, while at the same time, if you don't have the experience, not to be shy about saying, like, maybe I've only gotten to cast metal once, or I only got to watch it once. And so just being really honest about it, but also being clear about I like that, being clear about your intentions. What is it that you're aiming to get, and how can this be an opportunity for both sides? Excellent. Do you have any other thoughts, Brian?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you.
I have another one. So say somebody applies, they get their application in, say, to Virginia by tonight, or Betsy, maybe they've already applied, they have their interview, or they get it in right now and they manage to like move up their ranks. Same thing with Joe and Sam. So say somebody makes it, they get selected. How should they prepare? What should they do to be ready to be on site with you all? Obviously, like with Virginia, you're describing that somebody's supposed to, when they submit, they're to include like their time frame, but that's not for everybody. And so what would be something that you would give for advice to help them acclimate to being part of your team? What should they do to prepare to be a new member of your crew?
That's a hard question. Prepare your patterns if you want to make work. We've started having just short Zoom meetings or phone calls with accepted applicants for the visiting artist program, to kind of go over projects that you may have, materials you might need, and kind of try to workshop some things before you get here so you can really hit the ground running and make the best use of your time. We also try to go over a little bit about the city and the area and places you can stay, and a little bit about the culture down here. Especially people who are coming from other regions of the country, sometimes coming to the South can be a lot different temperature wise and just the way the city's built. But be ready to work. I mean, I won't be shy, and you're going to work. We stay pretty busy. We're a small team, and we all wear a lot of hats. And so just be ready to dive in.
One thing that I would say is to just read the internship handbook before you get here, which kind of lays out everything from maybe a little more detail of some of the duties, but also the fact that there's copperheads in the area and that sort of thing. So, and as Virginia mentioned, if you're looking to cast anything, go ahead and get those patterns going.
Well, I have some practical concerns and also some good advice. One is much like Joe's advice, there are environmental concerns, most notably here, altitude. So it takes a while to adjust, and some people adjust very differently than others, and you can't predict who that's going to be. So you drink lots of water before you get here, and just take it easy, and we'll go easy on you the first couple of weeks that you're here, and so you're able to kind of get into it. But also research the faculty. So if you're assigned to an area, maybe research the faculty, and that's not really for us, it's for you, so that you can make the most and ask good questions and really get to know your faculty in a way that enriches your experience. And it's also nice when you meet somebody you know you're working with and you already know something about them. That's just a good practice in general in the arts.
So prior to our interns arriving, especially the one that reports directly to me, our studio intern, I send them kind of, a month. I try to, like, 3 to 4 weeks before they get there, I try to send them, like, we've already interviewed them, so they already kind of know the job description, but I try to send them kind of a rough schedule of like what their first week looks like, because they show up before workshops. And so that's kind of a abnormal week for what their summer is going to look like. So I just kind of send them that information, and then I have their weekly schedule, which is kind of the same thing every week. It's kind of a template from year to year. I send all that stuff to them so that they know what to expect when they arrive and like what those first few days are going to look like. But I think what I've seen, like, the most successful interns come in with like just using that information and not having too much idea about anything else, and just letting us, like, onboard them and bring them in and show them around. And whenever they kind of like go with the flow, I think it's when they operate the best, is what I've seen. I think if people come in with too much of a preconceived notion, and sometimes we don't match with that, then that can jostle someone. I think different personalities handle that stuff differently. So I think that we try to really lay the groundwork before they're even showing up, so that they know what to anticipate.
That's great. Thank you all so much. That helps a lot, because, each one of your programs are different. And so what prep isn't the same, but obviously, like, using the 4 of you as resources. And if you do get the opportunity to go to one of these places, definitely reach out and ask those questions if you come back to watch this video. But if not, make sure that you're doing that next level of inquiring what is a best way to be able to engage that space. And I will concur, Betsy, as far as that altitude sickness, I've been out to Anderson Ranch twice, once to teach and another time as the lecturer and visiting critic. Whoo! I did not. I thought I pre-gamed. I thought I prepped well. No, I was, yes. And so it will hit you in ways that you did not understand that there was this thing. Because it's a very different altitude. Like it's up on top of a mountain. And
Yes,
Oklahoma is not.
yeah. If you're coming from sea level, it's a whole new thing, and everybody has to make an adjustment physically, and your body will adjust. But some people have a harder adjustment, and it can take you out actually for a couple of days. And that's one of the reasons why we have folks come early so that they can acclimate and take it easy before we really get right into it.
So true that, maybe some of the other places, but there's always going to be some level of, of sort of adjustment, getting to know the space. And so whatever pre-study you can do ahead of time to get to know the space. I really like the advice that you all were sharing as far as like, do the research, like you're saying, Betsy, like study up on the people that you're gonna be working with. Make sure that you've like taken a minute to look at all the artists and residents that are already at Sloss and what are some of the things that they've done, where are they from? And so like doing that little bit of extra research will help that transition. Any last thoughts while we still have everybody together?
I just wanted to throw out there that our deadline has passed, but I am extending it in the spirit of this panel discussion. So if there's anybody interested and wants to send a packet in by February 15th, we'd gladly consider you.
Oh, nice. Should they reference the fact that they heard you on here? Kind of like when a podcast will say, like, you have to like reference it to get a discount.
Yeah, that would help. Yeah, thanks.
Excellent. We will make sure to encourage. Yes. No, thank you, Joe, for doing that and extending to those who are listening with us and will listen to this later to be able to accept and benefit from this information.
No problem.
Nice. Well, thank you all so much for being a part of this team and sharing this frequently asked question information about internships, as well as about the other opportunities that each of your programs have, because internships is one component, but all the things that you have shared that you offer your local communities and to the nation is just profound. And so thank you for what you do. Brian, thank you for joining us today. I know you're so busy, but yes. And for posing questions that will help your students directly. So make sure that they have this link too. And as I said at the beginning, Mid-South Sculpture Alliance does so much to be able to create content and share our network with everyone, whether you're a member or not. And so please continue to join us and feature all these different features that we have as we bring artists together and programs together to continue this network. Thank you so much for joining us today. Take care. All right, it's over. You can all relax now. So
Yay.
the stream is over. We're still on Zoom, but the YouTube